The rain fell in slow, deliberate drops, the kind that made Lagos night smell of wet dust and secrets. I was in the living room, alone, when my phone buzzed. A wedding invitation, my father's wedding. It was bad enough that he'd decided to remarry so soon after my mother's death, but when I saw her name, my heart sank. Omolora Ayeni. The woman I once caught at a hotel lobby with my ex-best friend. The door swung open. There she was, tall, with skin like polished bronze, wrapped in a red silk dress that looked expensive enough to pay someone's rent for a year. Her perfume hit me before her words did. Omolora smirked, holding my phone in her hand. "Looking for this, F?" she asked, her tone dripping with challenge. 6 months earlier, I was running my architectural firm, engaged to Ada, the kindest, most honest woman I'd ever met. Then my father met Omolora at a charity gala. She was 32, full of charm, and exactly the type of woman my late mother would have warned him about. At their wedding, I stood stiff in my suit while guests clapped and danced. Omolora leaned over to me and whispered, "Don't get too comfortable. I always get what I want." A month later, we sat around the long dining table, silver cutlery shining under the chandelier. The food smelled heavenly, but the air was tense. Omolora glanced at Ada and laughed lightly. "She's sweet, but don't you think the Ayeni family deserves someone with a little more polish, Daddy?" My father's smile faded. "Omolora, that's enough." But I'd had enough too. "Respect is earned, not bought with my father's money," I snapped. Omolora's eyes narrowed. She lifted her glass of wine and, without warning, splashed it in my face. Before I could react, my father slammed his hand on the table. "F. Apologize to your stepmother." In that moment, something inside me broke. That night, Omolora was in her bedroom, phone pressed to her ear. "Yes, he's taking the bait. Just make sure those documents are ready. Once we ruin his reputation, Ada will run," she whispered. The voice on the other end laughed, "My best friend, Kola." The next week, Omolora invited Ada to lunch at an upscale cafe. She played the part of a concerned stepmother, hinting that F was hiding financial troubles and seeing other women. Meanwhile, at my office, police walked in with an arrest warrant. Fraudulent loan documents had been filed in my name. My father posted my bail, but his eyes no longer carried the pride they once did. Omolora had poisoned his mind completely. I spent nights digging for evidence, tracking calls, collecting receipts. Finally, I had recordings of Omolora and Kola's conversations. I went to my father's study, placed the evidence in front of him. "She's using you, Dad. Everything she's done." He pushed the files away. "You hate her because she's not your mother," he said. "I'm happy, F. Let me be happy." I left the room, heart heavy. One day, I said quietly, "You'll see her for who she really is." 3 months later, at my father and Omolora's first wedding anniversary party, the mansion was packed. Laughter, clinking glasses, music, all the trappings of wealth. When it was my turn to give a toast, I took the microphone. To my father, I began, smiling faintly, and to the woman he chose. Then I pressed play on a small recorder. Omolora's voice filled the speakers. "Once we win his reputation, Ada will run. Then his father will give me everything." Gasps spread through the crowd. My father's face went pale. Omolora stood frozen. "Those recordings are fake," she shouted, but Kola had already slipped out the back door, leaving her alone. The guest whispered. My father turned to her, eyes full of betrayal. "Get out of my house," he said coldly. That night, Omolora left with only a suitcase. My father came to my room, sat down, and for the first time in years, said, "I'm sorry. Ada and I rebuilt what Omolora tried to destroy." Sometimes the people you have to guard yourself against are the ones who call you family. Moral: loyalty should never blind you to the truth. Family is not just about blood, it's about trust, respect, and the courage to protect one another from harm.